Are there any announcements? Senator
Can I rise to a point of personal privilege?
Ishihara, yes, please proceed.
You know, the hearing we had yesterday was unusual for Senate Bill 110. Although I felt that its outcome was probably not in doubt, which is what occurred at the end, the members of the committee all spoke truthfully to what they believed about where they took their vote. And to the extent we should all be granted that opportunity. But in my view, science should not be trumped by emotional counterclaims to the contrary that are not supported by an overwhelming research, data, studies, scientific journals and organizations that are in support of the science of creating a good technology for agriculture. By and large, our legislature and our process to the public probably appears opaque at best, but it is the process we work under. When I first got here 10 years ago, there were two things I was told. And one was keeping your word and the courtesy of letting the chair know if you decide you can't vote with them. And those two I've always stayed with. And sometimes, I think we all do to more or less, that because it's important for the good working of this body. So, having said that, you know, I harbor no ill will to how it turned out. As I always tell people, we're big boys and girls here. We should be able to understand the process, that we live with it. That's the process. So, having said that, and whatever happens going forward for the rest of the session, I'm sure we'll all do our job. And I thank the committee for doing theirs as well. And I appreciated the opportunity to at least to get a hearing on that short form bill. There was no intent to circumvent a process to, as sometimes gets reported. So you're welcome to ask me how I feel about it. I'll give you a straight answer. I always have. And to that extent, I appreciate the camaraderie we have in the Senate. And I think it's important that we might remember that this body is, besides collaborative or try to assume a role of collaboration, we should also be very deliberative in what we do. And so that I thank everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Nishihara. Further announcements, Senator Solomon.
Yes, thank you very much, Madam President. I'd like to speak in very strong support of the remarks that were made by our Senator, our Chairman of Agriculture. I cannot express the disappointment on behalf of many of my constituencies on the Big Island. As you know, Madam President, I represent one of the largest agricultural districts in the state of Hawaii. And although we are not so focused on issues that were possibly influenced votes is how they came out, I don't know, but for us, Madam President, we felt that this was a policy decision that we in the state of Hawaii, in this body, are responsible for. In other words, I don't think that the counties, if you look at the Constitution, and I'm going to be preparing some remarks, I'd like to submit it, some factual information in terms of our fiduciary duty, as the Constitution of the state of Hawaii has given the state the prerogative to really try to expedite and try to get our agricultural industries moving in an expeditious manner. The issues at hand, when you talk about agricultural technology, we're not talking about just biological technology. We're talking about many other technologies that have been made available, you know, for agriculture to be able to really pull itself up by their own bootstraps and to get themselves going. I feel that maybe this body should consider a rule change in terms of we are deadlocked. I think that the chairman's position should at least be given some consideration as to how the outcome should prevail. So I'm thinking, Madam President, that we should take this under discussion. I think when you're at a 3-3, or however it may be, you know, either the chairman should be allowed to, of course the chairman is allowed, but the chairman should be instructed to call recess because of the referral system, Madam Chairman, of how we're referring our bills in this body. I mean, we're talking about committees that are 3 or 4 referrals. You know, you have half of your body sitting in one committee hearing. I did make mention of this. We did have a resolution. I don't know what came of it. That, you know, and I'm hoping, I did request for a caucus to discuss on the referral of bills. And I think that what had happened yesterday is only indicative as to how we're managing this House. Because it's quite impossible for members to be in attendance on all of these committees when we're experiencing triple and sometimes 4 referrals. So, you know, I was kind of in the same situation yesterday. I had a dual referral with the higher education. I was downstairs on my own committee. You know, I was helping out transportation because we need a vote, we need a quorum. And I think that what had happened yesterday is a reflection of our own management of how we're managing our legislations. So with that, Madam President, again, I will be presenting remarks in particular on the agricultural issues and my concerns as to whether or not it's county prerogatives or whether or not it's our state prerogatives as this body. Thank you very much.
Thank you. As a clarification, the purposes of having committees that are odd number is so there isn't a deadlock. And if there is one, then it's not because of the makeup of the committee. Committees have time slots, and you're not supposed to be on a committee that's conflicts that. However, the chairs do have the prerogative of calling recesses or putting decision-making to a different time and date. So those are all the tools available to the chairmans so that they can maneuver when there are situations where members are in other committees due to joint meetings. Senator He.
Short recess.
Short recess, subject call of the chair. Senate, please come to order. Senator He.
Thank you, Madam President. Rise on a point of personal privilege, please.
Please proceed.
Thank you for the recess. It provided some clarification. What is interesting with what happened yesterday is that, at least my understanding is the matter was a procedural matter to allow, as our rules provide, for a proposal to be heard. And the procedural issue was denied. That's unfortunate because the chair was merely making an effort to have a matter heard. Now, I take no position on the matter that the chair wished to be heard other than to share with my colleagues that there will be 2 short-form bills which I will ask procedurally to allow a matter to be heard. One is to allow the consideration of this chamber to designate Niihau as its own county. To do so will require a short-form bill that I will ask the appropriate committees to make a determination if that subject shall be heard for consideration procedurally. The second is to repeal the extinguishment of the Konohiki rights for the island of Niihau. That requires another short-form bill that procedurally, for it to be considered by this chamber, would have to go through a vote, like as was taken yesterday by the Chairman of Agriculture. I would suggest very strongly that if there are members in this chamber that are opposed to the procedures as opposed to the efficacy and merit of the proposal, that they do so at this time. That would save the Committee on Judiciary and Labor the effort to bring a matter before this chamber that by any other means could not be done. This goes back to the rule change that was adopted by this chamber. These are procedural matters that have been cut at its knees, preempted from having the merits debated in a public hearing. And that is unfortunate. So I give notice to this chamber that there will be at least 2 matters that I have mentioned procedurally, of which the members will be asked to vote. And quite frankly, for those of you who have been here any number of years, you should not be surprised that there will be other short-form bills, because that's the purpose of a short-form bill, to provide for opportunities that may not have existed. For example, I'm working with the state retirement system at this very moment so that those convicted of crimes shall not be eligible to collect their state retirement. Case in point, 2 prison guards accused of fencing meth and other drugs, arrested. My view is if they get convicted, they should not be eligible for their state retirement benefits. Now, these issues arose subsequent to the deadlines imposed by the House and Senate. So in order to do that, to consider the merits, would require the availability of a title. Procedurally, it would have to be done as was evidently conducted by the Chairman on Agriculture. It makes no sense to me that under this scenario, the merits of the bill would be shortchanged and curtailed because of a procedure. Thank you, Madam President.
Senator English.
Madam President, point of personal privilege.
Please proceed.
You know, I think we just really need to clarify what happened yesterday in the Ag Committee. Procedurally, we did follow the rules. What was failed to come to light, and I think we have to put it on the table here, was that the difference is that there is an existing bill that dealt with this issue that's already been referred. And that's why part of my consideration for voting no on it, besides being against the content, was that short form bills are to be used when there are no available titles to deal with the issue. In this case, there was one that was square on point, and it was already referred. So we were, to my thinking, why not move the bill that was already there? The chairs couldn't agree, I understand, on the hearing, but that is our process. So, you know, to say that we have not followed our process is a little bit misleading. The fact of the matter is, the difference is that there was an existing bill and that one didn't move. We tried to put the same content into a short form, which might have been trying to circumvent our existing process. Thank you.
Further announcements, members? If not, Senator Sparrow.
Madam President.
Senator He.
Yeah,
To what reason do you rise?
Point of rebuttal.
We are in announcements.
Point of personal privilege.
Please proceed.
You know, it's a prerogative of the chair, regardless of the existence of other legislation that may or may not exist, to provide for this chamber the opportunity to weigh the merits of a proposal, regardless of whether we agree or disagree. Now, I'm not involved with this issue, and I couldn't care less, quite frankly, that there may or may not have been another bill in existence. Each of you on this chamber, for the most part, sit as a chair, or have sat as a chair, or a vice chair. Each of you has taken that responsibility, presumably with the greatest seriousness of that leadership position. I'm not arguing about the merits of the proposal. I am arguing about the opportunity for each of you to exercise your discretion as a leader in this chamber. That's all. There were at least 5 or 6 bills on minimum wage. I exercised my prerogative as the chair to hear one of them. It is the vehicle at such time that the chair provided for the committee to exercise its prerogative as a member of the committee. Case in point. If 1010 was too high, then someone should have said at the committee hearing, 925. But in fact, that didn't occur. My comment is on the exercise of your authority as a chair. And from my reading in the newspaper, the chairman of Agriculture merely provided an opportunity to hear the merits of the bill, regardless that there may have been another vehicle, regardless that the bill may have been killed, regardless that he might take a House bill and stick it in a House bill as is his prerogative. We've been here long enough to know that. This wasn't about the bill, it was about a procedure. So if this chamber starts on its way of undercutting the chair's authority, so be it. Let us give notice to each other at this time. We give notice, we cut you at the knees procedurally. That's the argument before this chamber, not the merits of the discussion. To hear the chairman of Agriculture apologize? For what? Exercising his authority to ask its members for the opportunity to hear a bill? This wasn't about the bill. This is about the procedure. That's what I'm arguing about, not about the bill. Thank you.
Just a note that at the end of the day, every member have the right to exercise their right to vote, whether it's procedural or whether it's on the merit of the bill. Senator Sparrow.
I move that the Senate stand adjourned until tomorrow, 11:30 a.m.
Senator Sloan.
God bless the animals that give us so much peace and comfort. I second the motion.
It's been moved and seconded that if there are no objections from the members, the Senate will stand adjourned until 11:30 a.m. tomorrow.